Hey guys. Okay. All right, I'm gonna wait a few minutes for people to actually jump on. Hold on a second. Okay. Hey Jen. All right, I'm gonna wait a second. So I'm just rushing in the door from getting basketball. Hey Janine. All right, guys. Give me a second. Okay, so for you guys who are new, who do not know what I'm doing, before I do any live video, I always take an essential oil, hey Jen, that I love or need for the moment and help me out, okay? So it has been a long day and I tend to babble too much. So I am going to make it a personal mission for you guys, for you not to give too much information. Jen is probably laughing right now as I tell you this. So I'm putting an oil named Clarity on me, okay? It has a lot of basil in it, so it keeps me on track, keeps me alert and ready to go, all right? I also have notes, so I'm gonna be very good about this. Feel free at any time to ask questions. I may not be able to answer them live, but I can do it afterwards. Feel free to share this with anybody you think might be interested. You can tag people while I'm talking, whatever it is. Basically, we're going to talk about 3 ways to keep your body healthy, okay, throughout the course of the winter and now into the spring. So just a quick little backstory on me. I am a very severe asthmatic. I normally get not hospitalized. I normally end up like with either definitely 2 rounds of antibiotics and or prednisone once a winter. And ever since about 1.5 years ago, I removed all the toxins from my house. I have not even had a cold this winter at all, okay? And I know that sounds a little bit crazy. No one in my family, my daughter last week did have an asthma flare, and so she had to take her asthma medication, and I do take asthma medication every day. I am not like some kind of crazy person running around. I do need medication. I would be not on this planet if it did not happen to have medication. But by removing all the toxins from my house and implementing a whole bunch of dense nutrients into my diet, I have been super healthy, and so is my family, okay? All right, so here we go. We are going to talk about the 3 ways to keep your body healthy. Okay, so if you guys have ever thought or done any research, there are 3 primary ways that your body actually gets sick or gets diseased. Okay, the 3 of them are inflammation, lack of dense nutrients, and toxin exposure. Okay, so we're going to talk about all 3 of those tonight. I'm going to try to keep this under about 20 to 25 minutes for you guys. I will throw out some stats. I can put them in at the end if you want to. You will be able to replay this at any point. A lot of this information is on the Google, and a lot of it is in my brain as well. Okay, but I want to talk about these 3 different things and then talk about what I do and the company I work with and other collaborative people that I work with to help keep everyone's body healthy in our houses. Okay, so first and foremost, hi Eileen, how are you, honey? Okay, so first and foremost, we want to talk about inflammation. Here's the deal. Everyone has inflammation in our bodies. It just depends on where it is. Obviously, we know inflammation from when we have like an injury or something like that. Hey, Kathy. An injury in our body, you can actually feel it. Like I hurt my shoulder at the gym, you know it's inflamed and you have to do something to do with that. But in general, our bodies are very, very inflamed on a normal basis just because of everything we're exposed to in the environment. That does not mean that we cannot control a lot of this stuff, but this is what we're exposed to, okay? So, when inflammation in our body is left unchecked, it can actually lead to having like very chronic diseases. Okay, I'm looking at my notes just to make sure. There's actually been coded for heart disease, obesity, diabetes, cancer, and Alzheimer's. Okay, because your body, if it's in a constant state of inflammation, it's in a constant state of fight or flight. And when our body's in a constant state of fight or flight, we're using adrenaline all the time, and our bodies aren't meant to do that. Okay, we are meant to actually sit and rest. And I was at yoga class last week, and it was kind of a joke. You know, we've had to like implement mindfulness. We've had to implement sitting meditations and active meditations because we as a culture, and I am super guilty of this, we want to go all the time. And we feel like, sometimes my husband says to me, as soon as he sits down on the couch, I'm like, what are we doing next? We don't spend a lot of time sitting. We don't spend a lot of time doing nothing. And that is unfortunate for us. So we've now had to implement mindfulness. The school systems have had to do that. We have to take time, okay, to sit and be with ourselves and to actually get our heart rates low and to get all of the like craziness that we're feeling every day, like the like up here, decreased, okay? So because if we're constantly like that, our body's in this constant state of inflammation. It can't ever settle down. So we have to reduce those things. Otherwise, it is going to lead to like very permanent things. It can be like, it's going to, like, as I said, it could be like cancer and diabetes. Now, we need to remove stuff like, obviously there's genetics built into all of this stuff. I mean, I was born very severe asthmatic, still am, but I've been able to manage it over the years and implement different things. This is not going to be an end-all cure-all, but these are ways to actually help where you are now to kind of hold you at a level or actually decrease a lot of times in reducing toxins and inflammation in your body and increasing dense nutrients in your body. Actually, people will start to heal and their bodies will actually start to be healthier than they were, okay? Because what's happening is when your immune system is taxed like this all the time, fatty deposits build up in the lining of like your heart, your arteries, and the plaque and stuff like that. So it can actually start to create blockages. Because our body wants, like when it's inflamed, holds everything in as opposed to being able to detox and let things out, okay? So you want to, when your body, now if you're sick, so when my daughter said to me, when I could tell her asthma was flaring, I told her she was not allowed to have sugar, she was not allowed to have bread, she was not allowed to have dairy, she does not drink alcohol, obviously, and usually I would say to people, easy on the caffeine, although when you are an asthmatic, sometimes a black cup of coffee gives you this like adrenaline boost that actually hopes to open up your lungs while you're breathing. So when your immune system is suppressed, okay, let's say you're starting to feel sick, you wake up with a scratchy throat, the first thing you want to eliminate is all those negative things. And what you want to do on the flip side is you want to flush your body with really, really, really dense nutrients, okay? So you want to be putting in things like avocados, omega acid 3s, lots of like green leafy, like dark green leafy greens, like collard greens, kale. Spinach does not have as much in it, even though I still throw it into smoothies. Blueberries are amazing. Pomegranates are amazing. There is a drink that I drink every day. It's called Ningxia Red. Its primary ingredient is goji berry, which is a wolfberry, and that is actually from an area in Ningxia, China, it's been known for like the berries, and they use them in Chinese cooking everywhere. You can buy them dehydrated. They almost look like a craisin. I take 2 ounces of it every day. 2 ounces is equivalent to 1,700 blueberries for me. So that just means that I'm flushing my body with antioxidants all the time. And so it's decreasing, it's increasing my immune system because I'm flushing it with all the antioxidants that it needs. And so it doesn't feel that same kind of inflamed pressure, okay? All right, so those are like just general ways of decreasing inflammation. Now, what you want to do obviously is avoid the foods. Another thing you definitely want to do is just general, is weight loss. Anybody who is suffering with kind of like dieting or your immune system being taxed in general, when you lose weight, your body is going to be healthier, because what ends up happening is your fat cells aren't storing all the bacteria, like all the bad stuff anymore, so it flushes out of your system. There are a lot of studies that have been done, and especially like I'm in my 40s, people will say at the end of the day, like I could work out 15 hours a day, but the only way I'm really actually going to maintain or to lose weight is to balance my diet. And obviously like this is all about balance. This is all about moderation, and as irritating it is, at the end of the day, it's kind of what we all have to do. Okay. So obviously when you start to decrease your weight and get your body in better shape, even going for like a brisk walk 3 times a week and getting your heart rate up, that will help reduce the inflammation in your body, because you're reducing stress and you're releasing endorphins, okay, in your body. A lot of people who know that, who are like massive athletes, and a lot of people on watching right now are, so they already get that whole thing. A lot of people also do it for like mental clarity, because both things work together. Because if your brain is clear, especially for me, then I find that my heart doesn't race as hard and I'm not running in that like manic direction, okay? So managing your foods, and obviously very, very high in antioxidant foods, laying off the starches. I mean, this is all kind of common knowledge. I think most of us know it. It's just one of those things. When you eat cleaner on a daily basis, you will be able to have those cheat episodes or days or dinners or whatever you're having every day, because your body can kick it out faster. But we know that obviously when I eat, like there's a reason why I eat my green smoothie every day with an avocado and kale, and it's blueberries and my protein powder and everything in it, because I know it's going to make me feel better than it would be for me to have a croissant, even though in my brain I really want to have the croissant, okay? And then the last thing is talking about the stress management aspect of it, okay, for inflammation. Those 3 things above are very, very important for stress management. I will say that implementing the essential oils into my everyday routine with my kids, I've worked with a lot of people who have just the smell of it, there's something about, and you guys can, like, you can ask me for samples. Anybody who's on here can attest to this. When you smell something, it can either bring your body to like a state of peace and relaxation. It can heighten you, can motivate you. Like something like Clarity kind of gets me on task. Something like a lavender, which pretty much everyone has heard about, is actually going to settle your brain and your body. It actually, because it's so close to your, I'm not going to get into a lot of the brain stuff, and I'll put a diagram up here later for you guys to see. But when you just trust me, it's like when you go into someone's house and you smell an apple pie, okay, your brain relaxes or has a fantastic memory or something's wonderful about it. So just know that when you smell an essential oil, and I will, hey, you ready? How are you, honey? I only talk about Young Living essential oils, and that's just because it's a company that I trust and I stand by and I use on myself and my family and with my team of people that I use. I cannot speak to any other essential oil company what it does, but I will say for me and for my family and the people I work with, it has had a massive impact on it, okay? Because I know the quality of the products. So knowing to have something that I can smell, and I'm as spazzy and as manic as the next person, and I can go like flying off the handle, this has been just another tool in my toolbox to help reduce my stress and anxiety. And kind of control my crazy like mom mood sometimes. Like I have a fabulous chill out blend. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, so that's one, inflammation, and we want to keep inflammation at a low. So you need to do all those things to decrease your inflammation in your body. Okay, is dense nutrients. Okay, so I touched on dense nutrients a little bit. Obviously, we're talking about the broccolis, the kales, the quinoas, the salmon, the avocados. But what I really want to talk about in this is actually the sugars, because this is actually we had a nutritionist come to an elementary school about 4 years ago, and I listened to this. And I heard it in my brain, and I read this over and over again, but it's kind of an outstandingly large, crazy number that I think everybody should really pay attention to. Okay, so this is talking about added sugar. So obviously we're eating, like you're eating fruits and our vegetables. I mean, there's natural sugars in a lot of things, and our body needs natural sugars. I'm not saying to remove natural sugars. And I love sugar just as much as the next person. I've tried to switch most of my sugar intake to dark chocolate, but if someone put a cheesecake in front of me, I would eat it in a heartbeat. I'm not gonna lie about it. But here's the deal, okay? On average, it's interesting, is that men and women are different, okay? So on average a day, a man should have an additional 37.5 grams, which is equivalent to 7 teaspoons of sugar, okay? And a woman should have 25 grams, which is equivalent to 6 teaspoons. Okay, so we get to have 1/3 less than the guys. And I think it's probably how our metabolisms work and what happens in our bodies. I did not do a lot of research about what the difference is between the two of them. I'm sure it has to do with estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, etc. But just think about that. I want anybody, you can do this after this phone call, you flip over the back of stuff and start looking at how much sugars and stuff. I mean, we know this innately. I mean, that's why there's like an epidemic with people drinking sodas and all the obesity and stuff like that. That's an obscenely low percentage of sugar. And the average human being, so this is a study I looked up, okay? The average human being consumes 152 pounds of white sugar a year. That's equivalent to 3 pounds or 6 cups of sugar a week, okay? 1 cup is equivalent to 48 teaspoons. And so what that's saying is that on average, people are having between like 13 to 20 a day, and we're supposed to be between 9 and 6 for men and women. So on average, now doesn't mean everybody, but on average, we're all just kind of doing that blindly. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that all the processed foods that we're consuming, because they're easy and they're fast. Don't get me wrong, like I'm a huge fan of Trader Joe's. You know, sometimes you got to do it. If I'm gonna, like buy a pizza for my kids, like fine, I can buy them like processed food at Trader Joe's. There is a balance behind it, but I think what everyone needs to know, and I think it's super important, what I feel very passionate about, is I want to give you guys this information. It's just like someone saying to you, like, you know, if you smoke a cigarette, on the side of the panel, it tells you all the warnings, okay? We know if we're going to have wine or alcohol, what it's going to do to our bodies. But I think sometimes we don't understand the impact of what we're eating is actually having on our bodies. So if you just make small changes of flipping what you're eating every day, okay, for like at least, majority of the week, and then saving those like big spurges for like the cheesecake or whatever you want, or that really delicious pizza that you really want to have, you're going to start to notice your body's going to start to heal. And when you increase your dense nutrients like that, the inflammation in your body's going to go down and your immune system is going to get higher. So obviously you can see a trend. Okay, so we're going from there to there. Obviously, if you think about it, like people who have diabetes, who have really high blood sugars and they have to manage them, they can get very sick. And so if they can, it's like the same thing I say to people about, we're going to talk about toxins next. It's still affecting the average human who doesn't have diabetes. And obviously people do develop diabetes as they get older because of this. But for me, like the example is, I'm an asthmatic, so I'm very sensitive to smells and to chemicals, but it doesn't mean it's not affecting the person sitting next to me who does not, in theory, have asthma yet, okay? All right, so here's the deal. We're gonna talk about, the last one is toxins, which is my absolute favorite thing to talk about. I will tell you hands down, if anyone was to ask me right now, the most important thing to do in your house is to go take every single chemical cleaner and throw it in the trash can. I want you to go look at the back of them. I want you to see what it says about ingesting for children. It says to call poison control. It says there's also there's all side effects that are listed on this. They are, I mean, I was sitting, I don't have them in my house anymore. So when I'm at I was at a hair salon the other day and I was seeing Febreze in the back of things, and I was at a bar and someone was cleaning, and I'm just looking at the back. Look at the back and see what the words are, okay? I use a cleaner called Thieves. It is 100% plant-based. We started using it over a year ago. I will tell you right now, the most important thing, the one thing if you were to start to do today, throw them all out. Throw them all out, okay? And I'm gonna talk to you about why, but throw them all out. As an asthmatic, you sit in front of a chart in the pulmonology office, and it says like all the triggers. Smoking, exercise, I don't even remember, like dust mites, allergies, whatever. There's all these things. And there's always this one, it's like a little pie chart, and there's always this one that says chemicals. And every year I would sit and stare at it for like my 40 years on the planet, like staring at it. And then one day I all of a sudden realized, oh my God, what they're talking about is like the bleach, the Clorox wipes, the whatever sprays, like the Febreze, all that stuff that you're spraying into the air is affecting my lungs. Now, my body knew that because every time I'd either come home, the house was cleaned, I'd go to someone else's house was cleaned, I could instantly feel it in my lungs. I would have shortness of breath, but I wasn't making like talk about like mind body connection. It was not connected at all. And all of a sudden I was like, holy shit. Now, that said, I didn't make the connection and nobody ever told me. Not a doctor ever said to me, like, get rid of them, which I think is ironic because I have gotten to quite a few pulmonologists or allergists over my years, and a lot of them, I'm sure you guys have had this situation, they ban you from wearing any perfumes or anything with smells on it. It's because people are having reactions to it because they're allergic to fragrance. Okay, so this is all like kind of coming full circle. So I had never had that experience, so I went home, threw everything out. We do have bleach in our basement for like when, you know, the big boogies come out and sometimes we have to use the big guns, but here's the deal. You want to save that stuff for when you have to use the big guns. You don't need to be cleaning your house with Clorox wipes every day. You can look up studies on Thieves online and what actually the cleaning power of it. I use different dilutions on it and how it cleans my house. It smells really good. It smells like clove. I also clean with white vinegar and baking soda, okay, to create like little pastes and growths. I've cleaned everything in my house with it. So that said, these are just some of the fun facts that I want to point out to you guys, okay? All right, so in the United States, we have 30 chemicals that are banned. In the EU, we have just over in the EU has over 1,300. 1,300, okay? So because the way that our industries work here, and we're done by like big money, you know, it's like big money, big pharma, big everything, they're not the regulations that are in Europe. We have to wait until like there becomes a huge case that goes in front of you saying that such and such and such is actually now toxic and it's actually causing cancers or something else in our into our bodies in a big group, a class action suit, and then they finally remove it, okay? As a meanwhile, in other countries, they preemptively think, this is not very good for our bodies. We're actually just not going to put it out for people to have as human consumption, okay? So just think about those numbers, all right? So fragrance has become one of the number one, I don't want to say killers because it's kind of like a dramatic word, but in some ways it is. They're talking about it like equivalent to cigarettes, okay? In the word fragrance, just over 1,200 separate ingredients fall into the world of fragrance. And here's the deal with fragrance. Because so many companies like perfumes, and I was a huge Coco Chanel fan person for years, like anybody who knows me, that's what I smelled like. They are all proprietary. So nobody has to say, there's nothing that the government can do that actually requires them to tell people what the chemical consistencies are within the fragrance that makes the fragrance make it smell good. So within that, you could have like 300 in a perfume. Some of them could be toxic that you don't know, right? Because there's no way of actually finding out. So this is where the sensitivities start to fall in, okay? 75% of fragrances have phthalates in them, which has been known to has been linked to diabetes, obesity, and hormone disruption. I think the biggest one is probably hormone disruption. There has been a lot of case studies about women who are younger, of childbearing years, having a really hard time getting pregnant, not being able to figure out why. People losing babies. Obviously, the increase in cancer is out there. It has been in the last like 40 years. I will say personally, the instances of asthma is everywhere. Everyone carries around an inhaler. That is not something, it's like a dime a dozen now. I mean, literally, like if I was having an asthma attack, I could be like, does anybody have an inhaler? And someone would be like, oh yeah, sure, I got one. When I was a child, I was like 1 in a million. It just wasn't out there because we weren't having exposures to things, the toxin levels that we're having exposures to. Okay, so majority of fragrances, they've been known to cause like triggers for asthma, migraine headaches, allergies, sinus problems, like dermatitis. There's a lot of stuff like people will say that. Okay, now here's another number I want you guys to think about. The average woman puts between 400 and 500 chemicals on herself a day. That's a crazy number. Some say it's 80 before breakfast. I think it depends on what your routine is. I'm not a big makeup person, so I was probably like at 300. And the reason why is you have to think about it. Your shampoos, your conditioners, your dry shampoos, your hairsprays, your mousses, your face serums, your eye creams, your sunscreens, your lip gloss, you name it, you get it. Your deodorants, your body lotions, all of them have different chemicals in them. Some of them have a lot of fragrance in them because we all like fragrance. The problem is that what we're doing is we're inundating our bodies with all this stuff all the time, and our bodies aren't able to actually, they don't know what to do with it over a period of time. So people's bodies, some people get sick earlier, okay? They'll start to have symptomology like in their 20s, and they don't know what's wrong with them. And when they remove the toxins and they start changing things, it goes away. Some of us are kind of like around our 30s and 40s, and we start to have like kind of breakdowns in our bodies, like a lot of endocrine issues. I work with a lot of people with endocrine issues, a lot of hormone issues. People they're suffering from a lot of things because basically what's happened is if you think about your body like a cup, okay, like an upside down cup with a hole in the bottom. Generally what happens is we eat and drink and we are exposed to life, and we're exposed, like we can't control the toxins that we can't control all the time. Hey Donna. So I mean, like I can't control the fact that someone's smoking next to me, or the fact that I got my food was wrapped in plastic from Trader Joe's, because I can make a decision to go somewhere else, but that's just what happened to me today. But the things I can control are what I'm actually going to put in and on my body, okay? Obviously I can't control going to Trader Joe's. I could go to Whole Foods or somewhere else to get my food. Anyway, sorry, I got squirrely there for a second. So when you're doing all that stuff, so it's the cup, right? And what's happening is when you're doing, your body flushes them out. Our immune system is created to do this for us. We have our liver, we have our pancreas, we have all our organs in our body that are supposed to flush everything through. What ends up happening is we have more and more and more and more and more toxins, and the little hole at the bottom starts to get stopped up, and it starts to be like drip, 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 drip. So what ends up happening is all these toxins start to build up, overflow into our bodies, and everything backs up. So if you think about our bodies, we eat here and everything comes out this way. In general, we would like everything in our bodies to go this way. Just like people with heartburn, you want it to go back down, okay? Everything wants to go down. That is just natural gravity of how our body works. So if you think about the cup, now it's overflowing, going back into your body. So you're starting to have all these other issues. People will have Graves' disease. People will have Hashimoto's disease, other kind of endocrine disease. They'll have massive flaring of asthma. They will develop different diseases. This will start to shut down. Sometimes it's not even so much like you have like a chronic, like you have a disease, but like you'll be like, I just don't feel well. My stomach hurts all the time. I have brain fog. There's all these other things that starts to happen, like shortness of breath. There's all these things start to happen because our body's just completely overloaded. So removing and swapping out the things that have actually been in your body are going to make a massive difference for your health, okay? And last little, like, this is not a fun one, but I think it was done, I think it was like in 2015, maybe it was 16, there was someone had done a chemical test on like an umbilical cord of babies. They started like seeing how many chemicals. And I think they were saying on average 350 chemicals were found in a newborn baby. Okay, so, I mean, the kid hasn't even breathed outside the womb and already is like filled with chemicals. So it just goes to show, because obviously absorbing everything the mother's doing, and this is not like a criticism. I mean, Christ, I've had 3 kids and I'm sure I've messed them all up, and I was not as, I thought I was aware, and I've become very aware over the last year and a half. And that's why I'm super passionate about talking to people about this, because I feel like here's the deal. Once you're aware of it, then you know what you're doing. We all need to make decisions based on that. And I make decisions every day. Like if you want to decide to get your hair dyed, but you're like, I'm going to only use organic, creams on my face, then that's fine. There's a balance, I think. And this is what I want you guys to think about. There's a balance between all of this stuff. And there's also really quick, easy things you can do. Okay. So let's start like from the top again. Reducing inflammation. Start exercising. You are supposed to drink half your body weight in ounces of water a day. I understand it is an obscene amount of water. I get it. Yes, you spend a lot of time on the toilet, but you're supposed to be flushing your body out. Start doing it. Your pee, as I tell my kids or some of my clients, 6 o'clock clear. Okay, that means you've flushed all the toxins out of your body. Your gut, when your gut is healthy and your poop looks the one way it's supposed to, you can Google it on the internets and see it is one way. When it does not look that way, it looks the other ways, your gut is off. 70% of your wellness is in your gut. So if your gut is off and your poop is not coming out the right way, then your immune system is taxed, okay? And when your immune system is taxed, your body is even more inflamed, okay? So getting those things back in order. So if I was to talk about things to do, throw the chemicals out, get your guts in order, okay? Get that back in order. And once those 2 things start to get back in order, and increase your dense nutrients like ASAP. I get, a lot of people have said to me, the essential oil thing totally freaks me out. It seems like it's a lot of work, blah, blah, blah. It's like anything. Like if you put a cream next to your bed to put lotion on your feet before you go to bed, you put it on. If you put a bottle of Thieves essential oil next to your bed and put it on your feet every night before you go to bed, you're gonna put on your feet. It becomes like anything. It's like brushing your teeth. It all becomes normal. But I get how people want to start off with baby steps. So if you want to start with baby steps, I'm gonna tell you throw the chemicals out, increase your dense nutrients. Start drinking Ningxia every day. I will put information about it in here. I did mention it before. I'm telling you right now, not a cold, guys, not a cold, okay? That has never happened to me in my 43 years on this planet. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that it has to do with removing the chemicals from my life. And yes, I do oil up all the time. I put them on my feet before I go to bed. I put them on my feet when I wake up, and I smell them throughout the course of the day. I diffuse them in my house when I'm working because that's where I work. I know they are helping me because they are chock full of antioxidants, and they make my mood better. They make me feel better. They make my skin look better, and they keep my immune system healthy. Okay. So if that's the thing that scares you the most, I get it. And we're totally here to help you do that. But these are all simple things that can be done very quickly that will make massive differences. And you will start to notice difference between today and I always talk to people about 30, 60, 90 days. Start today and then see how you feel at the end of the month, and then 60 days and then 90 days. I'm telling you, it's a massive difference. And if you need help, like I have friends who are nutritionists. I have friends who are chiropractors and acupuncturists. Holistic doctors, naturopaths. If you need a good pulmonologist, I love my pulmonologist. Like this is a collaboration of people who work together who have different skill sets, because you can't do anything in isolation, but you are the gatekeepers of your house. You are the gatekeeper of your body, and you're the gatekeeper of the people who live in your house's bodies. So you get to decide what they get to put in and on their bodies. Okay. Just like you would when you cook beautiful food and amazing food, you get to decide what you want to have your kids put on their faces or wash their faces with. And I know it sounds little, but when you actually just don't have the chemical exposure to them when they're younger, their bodies aren't going to start to get blocked up at a young age. And so their bodies are going to continue to be healthy at that same rate that they've always been healthy at. So think about that stuff. Think about products that can, change your skin, your body, and your whole being in general. Okay. All right. So that was my little class for tonight. It was very simple. These are things that I am super passionate about. I did this as a private event for you guys. Feel free to share it. I do lots of these classes. I do them in person. I do big groups. We teach at the high school. We're trying to get into other venues. So we're always out here. If you have questions, just ask us anytime. We love talking to people. We love giving people simple solutions. And we're 1000% here to help you with this whole process, because I get it can be overwhelming. And when I tell you, I thought I was being good by myself and I thought I was really looking at the back of stuff. A lot of stuff is greenwashed, which means like the labels like have green flowers on them and they look like plant-based and stuff like that. And it's like 2%, and the rest of it has all the other chemical garbage that was in it before. Okay, that's true of everything. There's an app called Think Dirty. If you get it, it's downloaded for free, and you can scan chemicals in your house, and you can scan even stuff that you've bought at like some like organic Whole Food stores and stuff like that. Look and see, because a lot of stuff still has a lot of fragrance. And you can also scan your cosmetics and your hair and your makeups and everything like that. Okay. We have simple solutions for everybody, and they are non-toxic, and they are easy, and they do make a huge difference. Okay. All right, guys. I hope this is super helpful. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night. Bye.